one country has killed, executed more persecutions towards Christians than any other countries around the world combined.
Wow.
And that's Nigeria. Just this year, 7,087 Christians have been killed, beheaded in many instances this year just for going to church. Today we're going to talk about the events that are taking place in Nigeria targeted towards Christians.
Okay, Nigeria Express. Yeah, so this one is Pat David did a video where he was talking about the genocide killing of Christians in Nigeria. And as a Nigerian, I feel like I need to react to it. I feel like all Nigerians actually need to react to this video in any way which you can, in any capacity at which you can react. We need to speak out. As a Christian and as a Nigerian, I think it's high time we start talking. I'm someone who identifies as a Christian. Although I think religion is kind of divisive, because when it comes to religion, when you're fighting for something that you can't even defend, you're fighting for something that is... I know we all like to have good belief system and it helps us, have good morals and stuff. But if we're being honest with ourselves, we find ourselves fighting for something that at the end of the day is still like a gamble. We are not certain what's going to happen when we all, leave this world, when we all stop breathing. We don't know what's going to happen, but everybody has their own belief and it gives them something to, live for. And the fact that we end up killing ourselves because of this abstract thing that we are trying to that was supposed to shape our values. I would believe that the reason why religion came about anyways was to give us values and help us to be good human beings. But at the end of the day, it's doing the opposite, because I really don't like identifying as I'm a Christian because it gets divisive. It gets really divisive, because people like to just have teams, and when you say that, oh, you're on this team, and even as Christians actually, they're not even united themselves. Christians actually have this thing where they like, you see the Christian denomination, there's the Catholics, there's the Pentecostals, and there's the Jehovah's Witnesses. They are just divided in their own Christian faith as well. Any opportunity to just get divided, even when it comes to sports, I'm supporting this team, you become my enemy because you support the other team. People they take it to another level. Human beings take this to another level, and I think it's just the animalistic nature in us that just trying to just show face with any opportunity that it can, because human beings have upgraded into something else. We're not living like normal animals anyway, so we've now become something else. But anyways, I also want to react to let me play the video and just react to a couple of minutes in the video itself.
If you turn on primetime news, you're probably going to hear about what's going on with Ukraine.
On Ukraine.
Ukrainian city of Dnipro.
Ukraine has come under heavy bombardment from Russia.
Or what's going on with Gaza.
But in Gaza.
Gaza.
But you're probably going to hear nothing about the fact that one country has killed, executed more persecutions towards Christians than any other countries around the world combined.
Wow.
And that's Nigeria.
I'm not shocked at these statistics, because we all know the state of security in Nigeria, and it's something that we should actually be worried about anyways, because there are certain places in Nigeria, as a Nigerian, there are certain places in Nigeria where people are actually scared of going to, like myself, and this is actually accurate, because myself growing up in Nigeria, as there are certain places where you are scared to get into. You are scared to people actively warn you, be very careful if you are going to this region, be very careful if you are going to this region. There are certain places that are why, because of this religious conflict that happens all the time. I've happened to have visited the north, and I'll tell you, bro, it was a very scary time for me, because I was so scared. I was worried for my safety at all times. And of course, there were attacks on some people, well, not me personally, but there were attacks on some people while I was at the north. And it's I'm telling you, it's something where people should appreciate. These things happen started happening from some places in the north, and it started spreading out to other places in Nigeria. And it's not something we should just keep quiet about, because we've kept quiet for so long. It's now becoming so so widespread.
Just this year, 7,087 Christians have been killed, beheaded in many instances this year, just for going to church. Today we're going to talk about the events that are taking place in Nigeria targeted towards Christians. If you get value out of this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Let's get right into it. So watch this. If you're watching this, and we know mainstream media is not going to be talking about this a lot with other people, you want to get more exposure to it, share with other people. Let me tell you why. Since 2009 till today, 125,000 Christians have been killed in Nigeria, according to the International Society for Civil Liberties and Rule of Law. By the way, when you're looking at the surge, 7,087 just this year in the first 220 days. That's 35 a day. 7,800 abducted. They disappeared. Can't find them anymore. 19,100 churches have been destroyed. Imagine you going to church. Imagine on Sunday, you just don't take your kids to church. All you want to do is go pray, maybe, sing a little bit, worship music, listen to the pastor, the preacher, what they have to say, the priest. 19,100 churches have been destroyed. By the way, 10,000 schools have been destroyed that are teaching Christian theology to kids, certain values that they have. And in Nigeria, specific areas, they're being targeted. Now, who is doing the targeting to these Christian communities, these Catholic churches? Many of these guys that are jihadists, one of the leaders being Boko Haram since 2009, later splintering into ISIS West Africa province, the ISWAP and Ansaru, conducting mass killing, forcing conversions, and abductions. And you're seeing this.
And I remember when this thing really started, like when it actually started, when we started hearing about Boko Haram. I was still in high school then. It was still it's a while back anyway. It's 2009. But it kept on getting worse. It kept on getting worse. It kept on getting worse. And every political leader that has come in has used this as a point of campaign for the elections, that, oh my God, we're going to make sure there's peace in this region. We're going to make sure that the whole religious killing stops. Very Dark Man did a video where he said this is actually a political thing going on. I don't know about that because I don't have any evidence to prove that it's a political thing. So I'm not going to start, alleging things that I'm not sure about. But from the way it's looking, one would not be surprised, or one would not be. It's not too far-fetched for somebody to think that it's actually a political thing going on, because how these guys get their ammunitions, and you can see them. I've been in Nigeria. I've been in Nigeria for a long time. I barely see Nigerian military or Nigerian army or Nigerian security agents going around with this type of vehicles and this type of ammunition. It only happens when there's a serious issue, and like there's been very few times where I've seen this thing come out. Like when you see them going out with armor tanks, big guns like this. Even when you see the local police on the streets, they are not armed like this. So when something like this happens, where people are not ready and the security is not ready to battle with something like this thing happening, our security agents are not even ready to battle something like this when it starts to happen. And people are saying, how come they are getting their fundings? How are they getting these weapons? How are they getting these ammunitions that they are using to actually terrorize Christians? That's why people are saying it has to be a political thing. That I don't have any physical or any evidence to show that it's a political thing, so I'm not going to do any commentary on that. I'm just saying that's what some people are alleging. Like Very Dark Man did a video where he alleged that it's actually a political thing. But ordinarily, when you look at it and you say, okay, how are these guys getting their ammunitions? You start to get into that rabbit hole where you feel like, okay, so only persons in the military are given licenses to actually import this gun. So except there's a way where our security agents at the borders are not strong enough, and these people are able to import such amount of ammunitions, and it's just ridiculous the kind of things that they operate with, and our security agents are not well equipped enough to actually deal with it. That means there's a lapse in security somewhere, or it means that this is actually political.
In the news, I'm going to put a picture here for you to see on what's going on. This is what they look like. They're just going around targeting Christians, burning homes, seizing land, destroying harvest, sexual violence. And the way they're going about doing it is they're going at night when you're asleep, night assaults on villages, church seizures and burnings, mass kidnapping, land grab, creating no-go zones for Christian natives. And families are sitting there saying, what do I do? I just want to go to church. I can't. You saw service with everything that's going on. I mean, you know, we get the challenge with our faith a lot of times. How strong is our faith? Is our faith as strong as this guy? They're still in church. They're still there praying. They're still singing to worship music, even though all this stuff's going on. You hear guys talking about, they killed my family. They killed my parents. They burned my house down. They burned my relative's house down. They burned my kid's house down. All I have left is this shirt I'm wearing. Here's what the fellow was talking about. I want you to watch his two clips. One of them is them still going to church on a Sunday, and one of them talking about what happened to him and his family.
My family members, they died in this house, 11, and some died in the other store. Here and up, my house is up there. That place also is burned. And the store where I pack my goods, I store my goods everywhere, has burned. They burned my clothes, they burned everything, they burned our food. All my family members, what we kept out with is our food.
You know, the criticism that a lot of mainstream media gets is, what's the purpose of you showing this? It's just Christians.
You know, bro. So the thing is, I know a lot of Muslims. This is not to, you know, throw shades at Muslims in general. Like I said, I really don't like playing this whole I'm a Christian card, you're a Muslim card, because at the end of the day, the purpose of which these things were actually supposed to do is thrown away, because at this point, we're playing teams with it, we're picking sides with it. I know a lot of Muslims that are very kind-hearted. I stay around a lot of Muslims that are so nice. They're the nicest people you can find. And I know Islam is a religion of peace. So these people who are actually playing on the fact that they have some people who actually, you know, get radical in their beliefs, and they bring them into this, they brainwash them and make them think that, okay, these people are the enemies, because they can't do this thing by themselves. I know they are founders and all that, but then you find a lot of people who are identifying with this cause just because they are just gullible. And like I said, religion gets divisive. At this point, I think there should be a way for us to preach peace more. But the problem with this is like the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Sometimes it feels like Christians are just way too quiet. It is easier to attack Christians because they are kind of quiet. This thing happens like in my, like growing up. People know not to mess with. They call them the bike men. They call them these Okada riders. They call them this Hausa Okada riders. People know not to mess with any of them. You know why? If you mess with one of them, you are going to have to deal with the rest of them. That's what happens anytime you attack an Okada man that is an Hausa man. Anytime you attack one of them, they know you have to deal with the rest of them. So a lot of people give them respect. They're like, but leave all this Abuki, or leave all this Abuki. People know not to mess with them because they are always united. And I think that's a problem where Christians don't we try to embrace peace a lot more. And this is one of the reasons why I don't even like to call myself a Christian. I don't really like the doctrine of when you slap me here, I have to turn the other cheek for you to slap. Nah, I don't like that. I like preservation of self. I like self-preservation. And I think sometimes when people push you to the wall, when people push you back so far, you have no choice but to fight back. And I think we're getting closer and closer to seeing that thing happening.
I mean, it's just Christians, but we have to show anything else to raise the temperature and make sure people are angry and go out there protesting. Free Palestine. That's what we need. We need rage. Christians, give me a break. You know, if you're going to go out there and kill 49 Christians in Democratic Republic of Congo that were killed by machetes, not a big story, right? We shouldn't share this if we're mainstream media. Some victims were beheaded and burned, but I mean, we don't need to really talk about it a lot because It's just Christians. We need to really get into the story. And then hear stories that's going on in Canada. You got Justin Trudeau, 112 churches burned in Canada, Catholic churches. And Justin Trudeau, former prime minister, gets up there and says, well, I understand their rage. I mean, you have to watch us to believe what the former leader of Canada had to say about all the church burnings that was going on in Canada. Here's Justin Trudeau for you.
Acts of vandalism and arson are being seen across the country, including against Catholic churches. One of my reflections is I understand the anger that's out there against institutions like the Catholic Church. It is real and it is fully understandable.
And by the way, I got a list of other places to read. The only reason I'm showing you Justin Trudeau is because it's not just happening in Africa or Syria and all it's happening in the West as well. We can tell you some of the stuff that's going on in Arizona that.
All right, so like I said, it's just people preying on the fact that Christians are actually the ones that are actually practicing this, religion of peace. To be frank, Christians are the ones that are actually practicing this religion of peace, because when you see Christians gather, you don't see them gather to want to cause problem. I'm not saying, like I said, I'm not saying Muslims are doing that. Not all Muslims. They are extremists, but you don't find extreme Christians who will go out there and say we have to wipe out the whole, Muslim believers and other denominations like that. You don't see extreme Christians doing that. The worst Christians can do is just gather and argue among themselves which Christendom is better, which Christian faith is better. Because, like I said, even in the Christian community, we are still divided. You have the Catholics who are of a different opinion, and the Jehovah's Witnesses who are of a different opinion. You have the Pentecostals. You have even the Anglican. There are different denominations of Christians. So I think that's one of the problem, that they are actually not like put together. The Christians should outnumber the Muslims, right? But for the fact that Christians are even divided in their own unity. I'll give you an example there was something that happened some years back where somebody actually said all Christians should unite and put up a post or a picture on their WhatsApp status. It was supposed to just be something that, let people do it to say that, oh, come, this killing is becoming too much. Let's send a message. Use this picture as there was the word Jesus inscribed with I think something like that looks like blood on it. And Christians started arguing amongst themselves. That really threw me off. I saw Christians leaders who were coming out to be like, get your PVC. It's not about putting Jesus on your status. I'm like, even as Christians, we cannot agree to do something together as Christians. That thing really pissed me off, because you are seeing people are killing Christians. Somebody is saying, okay, let's send a message. Let's use this as our wallpaper, as our profile pictures, at least for 24 hours. Let's just send a message to them that it's it's okay, we're seeing this, and we just send a message. As Christians, let's just come together and send a message. They're asking you to put Jesus on your status, not anything else. But Christians were arguing amongst themselves. Christians were fighting among themselves about putting that thing on their status. That just goes to show you how ununited we are as Christians. And it's quite sad, and that's exactly what they're praying on. But like I said, Christians are kind of laid back because they're not expecting this to happen. Like, I don't go to church on Sunday and expect somebody's coming to just do this, and it makes no sense, because even the Muslims, I don't expect them to be at their mosque and be scared that somebody's going to come out and attack the mosque. It doesn't make any sense. There's no reason for it. Like, why? What have I done to you? If you want to believe in this thing, believe in this thing. Like, there are a lot of people in the world who believe in whatever they want to believe in. The fact that you believe in this thing does not mean every other person has to believe in it. And that's why I said religion is actually very divisive, because people have the right to believe whatever they want to believe. You don't have the right to oppose or oppress people with your belief. You don't have the right to force people to believe in what you believe in. Everybody should believe in whatever they want to believe in, because at the end of the day, when you close your eyes, you don't know what happens. I know everybody's going to be like defend their faith and all that, but nobody's going to come out and tell you I've died and this is exactly what I saw. And there's no way for you to confirm this. The only way you would know is when you finally close your eyes. And so why should you be killing people because of this belief that you are not even sure of yourself? Well, it's quite sad. Like I said, I'm not going to talk about the political aspect of it, because I don't know I don't know much about that, and I'm not going to come out here and start spreading misinformation or alleging things that are not sure, or that I'm not sure about. So I'm not going to talk about the political reasons for these things happening, but the government needs to make sure that the lives of all citizens are secured. If somebody will come out on a Sunday where people are gathered to actually worship, and some people will come outside and start causing chaos, and there's nobody to actually come back and fight against them. I mean, this is in the open. This is not in the night. This is not even at night. This is in the daytime. If a group of people can come outside and start attacking innocent people, and our security personnel can do nothing about it, they cannot come outside to stop them. And these are places where we know that this kind of attacks actually happen, and nobody's out there to actually protect, or even, let's say the attacks have happened, nobody's out there to actually go and fight back. That's a big problem, and that's a big problem. So I don't know. I feel everybody needs to come outside and say something. I really don't like to do commentary on stuff like this, because it's a tricky thing. But I think at some point people need to speak out. Even if you're like I said, I'm not encouraging violence. I'm not saying anybody should fight anybody, but defend yourself when you can. I would advise people to please defend yourselves when you can. So let everybody speak out. Even if you are not going out to protest, let everybody throw light about these things. Come outside and say something about it. And of course, let's be more security conscious. I advise Christian communities as well. Let them not just be so laid back. If you want to, say masses, or you want to host services at these areas where this is usually what happens there, I'll advise you guys to be secured. Like, make una ready for battle. If una won't do that kind of location, make una ready for battle, so that if anything stop, we gonna say, hey, make it stop. But if we can avoid it, I would advise we avoid it, and I'll preach for peace, because we are not going to gain anything from this thing. A lot of people are just going to lose their lives for no reason. A lot of innocent people will lose their life when things like this happen. So I still preach for peace more, and I pray that the Nigerian government is actually listening, and I pray they do something about this insecurity that's happening right now. But anyways, that's all I'm going to react to for now. This is Nigeria Express. Peace out.